My name is Tiago Mata, and I'm an intellectual historian, an historian of economic ideas, and I'm currently working at Duke University. I was born in Lisbon, Portugal. I was raised in what would be more or less the outskirts of town. I lived with my parents in a kind of a sleeper town just outside Lisbon. But spent most of my day with my grandparents that lived in a place called Lumiar, which is used to be old farms, and farms from wealthy banking families in the early 20th century. And the place was full of decaying palaces, and some of these farms became schools, one of which I was a student on, a golf course, one of them, another one became a museum. So it was kind of odd because it was Lisbon, it was the capital of the country, but it was still very kind of almost, it wasn't peasant-like, but there was a lot of green. I had great difficulty figuring out exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to college, I wanted to have a degree. I didn't know what it should be, law, sciences, literature, whatever. One thing I knew, I'm not very good at memorizing. I was not particularly studious, so that kind of elected me out of natural sciences that seemed to require a lot of this rote kind of exercise on memorizing. And social sciences seemed to be in the middle, had a little bit of everything. And if you're doing social sciences and you're good at math, which I was, then economics seems to be the right choice. There's certainly people I admire and that I would dream to emulate in some of the things that they've done. I think Carlo Ginzburg, the Italian historian, is one that comes to mind. He's written these really imaginative pieces on clever pieces on social history, where he kind of recovers these voices that had not been appreciated in the historical record. And I feel like I'm doing something similar within the history of economics, and the history of economic ideas, so I feel a connection with them. So, had I ended up doing something other than what I'm doing now, or had my life been different, the world of policy, the world of politics, I guess that's where I would have ended up. My first memory of technology is probably these extracurricular classes that we had at, I think I was probably 9 or 10. And it was playing with these 289, 386 processors and with MS-DOS. And they want to teach us programming, and I really liked the programming. It was on the BASIC, which is Virtual Basic, which is a really simple programming language. And it is all full of if conditions and this kind of stuff. So it's all kind of algorithm based, and it sometimes feels like a puzzle, other times it almost feels like knitting, because you're kind of knitting all these possible paths through the code. And that was fun. And then, of course, at the end of these things, because we were kids, they always leave us like 10 minutes to play. And, gaming, I still do, video gaming and computer gaming. I think that was, my relationship with communication technology is a slow one, or possibly a little bit, developed very late. I think the big thing was probably blogging. Because I found in blogging a way to connect with friends who were not academics, or friends who were not doing were not in a graduate program, were not in Britain, and allowed me to do something that was meaningful and kept me apace with what was going on in the world. Being part of the millennial generation, and what are the distinguishing features? I don't know that I was part of the millennial generation until I listened to this, heard about this question, or I saw that I was going to be asked this. So I looked it up on Wiki, which I think what the millennial generation would do would be looking